So I guess I ended up in the medical field after a long struggle to figure out what I wanted to do. It took a while. It was probably my junior year in college when I really decided that that's what I wanted to do. And I was a liberal arts major in my undergraduate and just studying a little bit of everything, and knew I was interested in the biological sciences, and so I was taking pre-med courses just in case as a backup. And this was in Texas. UT Austin is where I was in studies, and that's where I met Mary, my wife, probably junior year, and ended up going into pre-med, and Mary was a teacher going into teaching and a year ahead of me, and she ended up going to San Antonio and teaching for the time that I was in medical school. And then we ended up getting married in '95 when I graduated. And I went into family medicine because I've just really always had a broad interest in things, and I didn't want to get into a field where I really couldn't help somebody on the plane, or I wanted to be useful and in kind of all situations, and was always kind of had a broad interest in everything. That's why I was kind of studying liberal arts, just because I couldn't narrow down my interests. And so in the family medical field, there's a lot of variety, obviously, and I wanted to do a little bit of everything. I wanted to kind of be like Marcus Welby, kind of, that was kind of my dream, and to deliver babies and take care of grandparents and grandchildren, and full family practice. And in Texas, to do that, you really have to end up in pretty remote areas a lot of times, and that was okay for me, but it wasn't something that Mary was interested in. So trying to find a place where we could settle, where I could live my dream and she could also teach and live her dream, and not be so remote that we couldn't visit a city every now and then. I think she grew up in a small town called Dickinson, Texas, and so it was, I think, I didn't want to go back to a real isolated place. And we ended up looking across the country, and wanted to probably be in the West, because on the East everybody's so subspecialized, and it's really hard to find a niche where you can do a little bit of everything, unless you're in the Appalachians or something. Got to get pretty remote. And so, and with Texas, it'd be similar. I'd be in South Texas, or pretty far away from the metropolitan areas if I wanted to do OB and treat full families. So we ended up looking at 5 different places, and Silverton really called to us. It was it's a beautiful community here, and just love the way that the town is so active. And in the summertime, everybody's walking around, and you see families and kids walking around, and it's just a safe, welcoming place. And so we ended up here. This is my first medical practice, which is really unusual to end up and stay where you first settled down. And so that's been an amazing process, ending up here and having an opportunity to practice in private practice for about 9-10 years. Doing everything I dreamed of, just even house call or two, and taking over for Virgil Peters when he retired. And we moved his practice to Silverton from Mount Angel. And, it was amazing, but stressful to be self-employed and not have any kind of idea. That aspect of medicine is not really part of your training, so that was frightening. It was amazing to have that opportunity, and to be in a town where everybody seems to know you, and it was an odd experience after growing up in Dallas, where you're kind of anonymous everywhere, and everybody's just been incredibly welcoming, and it's been fun. And then in 2007, I just had young kids, and was kind of getting burned out, and not seeing my kids grow up, and spending more time away from home than at home, and just kind of got into dark space, trying to struggle with how to balance family and professional life, and ended up closing my practice, and that was a real struggle. But it was a way to have more time with my kids before they grew up, and I don't regret it at all. They were very young at that time, and so much changing. You just can't get that time back. So that was a big change to go into hospital medicine, and that's allowed me to have more time with family. What led me into the medical field, I think, is it's a privilege to practice medicine, and it's a sacred kind of duty to me, and the medical field has been linked to churches since even before Christianity, but during the Crusades, the Knights of Hospitalier, and the whole concepts of hospitals have been strongly linked with the church, for a long time, and in fact, my employer now, Legacy, was created by a combination of Good Samaritan, which was started by the Episcopal Church, and Immanuel, which was started by the Lutheran Church in Portland, and they combined and created Legacy, and that's an ongoing thing, of course. A lot of hospitals throughout the world have started with church affiliations, and that's been a huge part of my spiritual journey, to have the honor to take care of patients, at their worst, most difficult times, and illness and death are kind of the great equalizers. You meet people from all walks of life, and all backgrounds, and to have that opportunity to meet with people during their times of need, and experience some small snapshot in their lives, and that's really expanded my horizons and allowed me to commune with so many people from all walks of life. And for me, being an introvert, that's been a great honor for me and opportunity for me as in the medical field to be able to interact with so many different people, and that's really been a great thing that I've enjoyed, is to hear people's stories and get a little bit of an inkling of how they ended up where they are, and where they're going, and be able to share the traumatic experiences that they're going through and help them through it. And that's something that's really given me a lot of purpose and meaning, along with my faith. It's really helped to restore my faith in God, and to help me work through all the difficult times that people go through. It's been an honor to be in this field, and to have the privilege to do what I do. And it's been a challenge during the pandemic, of course. That was a very difficult period, especially when there were so few opportunities to help people. I mean, there were very little therapies that worked for COVID, and really just oxygen and support and time. And it's been an odd few years. There's been so much turmoil, politically, and with all the isolation that everyone's gone through. It's still taking time for us to come out of it. And it's been odd to be kind of experience the change toward the medical field at times, where these different narratives are being spread on social media, and controversial topics are being grasped and believed by so many people, and it's strange to have people come to your hospital who are actually, dying of COVID who deny the existence of the very virus that they're dying from. It's been a strange experience to see that, this kind of denial of what we're going through, and it's understandable, I guess, but it's just been odd, and I worry about this future that we're heading into, where social media and the internet have such an impact on people's psyche and their belief systems, and I think it's just highlights the importance of getting together here and actually meeting people face to face, and that when you're isolated and all your information is from a screen, and you lose touch with people, and lose touch with reality. A lot of us have, and so it's nice to see people getting back together in person, and being able to try and restore that faith in God and in humanity, and I think we have a lot of challenges ahead. It's going to be interesting with artificial intelligence and all the impact that will have in the future. So COVID definitely had an impact on the healthcare field. It also has created a lot of shortages in the medical field, more than I've seen in my entire career. It's really interesting to see how people struggle to find doctors, and how difficult it is to get care these days. It's pretty shocking. But it's also great to be in a field that's in demand. It's nice to be considered essential, I guess. But it's definitely an area where I think we're going to be short providers and caregivers for the next decade. It's gonna last a long time, I'm afraid. Especially as we have baby boomers that are aging, and we have a lopsided population now. So we are, I think, going to continue to have issues with that. The medical field is interesting in that at the hospital you have hospital privileges, and they call it hospital privileges, and that's you're privileged to take care of people. It really is a privilege to take care of people, and it's something that we take very seriously. And the hospital has a medical staff that polices itself and is not beholden to the administration. It's kind of a separate entity in and of itself, and that's how hospitals are organized. They have the medical staff, and then you have the administration, and the administration deals with the business part of it, and the medical staff make sure that the providers provide good quality care and hold them accountable if they don't. So it is kind of I consider it, and I think many doctors do, kind of a sacred duty to make sure that we're on track and doing what we were called to do. I think a lot of the public maybe don't realize how hospitals are organized, and how we manage our own practices and police each other. But it's an interesting idea where you have independent medical providers who work in this setting, and then you have employee providers, and all these structures in place to make sure that everyone provides good medical care and has good credentials, and knows what they say they know. And that's been interesting to be part of the medical staff kind of executive committees and see how that whole process works. I think the biggest satisfaction I get in the work that I do is just is really just interacting with people, and even, during COVID, while everybody was isolated, still have that opportunity to interact with people and get a lot of energy from that. And it's certainly something I wouldn't do if I wasn't forced to do it professionally. I'm just very quiet and don't seek people out unless I'm forced to. So that's been a great aspect of my job. I also just enjoy seeing families grow and change, and this cycle of life that we're all going through, and getting to watch everyone go through that. And it's pretty amazing to think that that I have that opportunity, and it's been amazing. I don't know how I'm going to stretch this for the whole 45 minutes, but luckily Pastor Leia gave me some prompts, so I'm working through those. I guess my what would have been the greatest struggles. I guess probably the biggest struggles probably had to do with the COVID epidemic, just the changes that have occurred in terms of confidence in the medical field, and people's faith in the medical field, and that we provide care that's based on trusted principles and research, and there's just been a lot of doubt in terms of our motives, or there's a lot of just when you're healing, when you're trying to take care of somebody and they don't believe that you're trying to help them, then it's really hard to help them, and that's been very difficult to experience. And even people who don't believe in COVID or your treatments, they often still come to the hospital, which I found was kind of ironic, so that's been unusual. That's been frustrating, but the thing about treating COVID patients is it didn't really matter what you believe. There's really not a whole lot we had to do for people, and that was difficult. And then to have the vaccine come out and have it rejected by so many people has been frustrating. Even providers in the medical field, have often refused to get vaccinated. I don't want to get all political, so I'll stop. But it's been frustrating because as a provider, I've never seen a case of diphtheria or tetanus or polio, all these horrible diseases that I don't even see anymore because of vaccines. And I worry that this will lead to more doubt about the efficacy of vaccines in general, and I worry that we'll start to see some of these things come back. But it's I think it's extraordinary how effective they have been, and people just don't remember, I guess, having grown up with polio, and there's a lot of things that we just don't see anymore, and that's largely because of vaccines, and as we've become spoiled as a generation of not having these problems, we do see probably more side effects from vaccines than we do from the actual diseases, because they're almost gone, and so it's going to be a struggle, I think, to try and get people to consistently get vaccinated for things that they don't ever see or have to worry about anymore. And I think you hear about that in the news, even for rabies vaccinations for pets and things like that. It's frustrating to see that, and I imagine we will start to see more of those things coming back, but hopefully not in my lifetime. I've stayed here, for my whole career because it's just been an incredible place to live and to practice and to have the opportunity to do a little bit of everything. It's been amazing. I think it's a great area to go into because of the fact that you do have so many opportunities to interact with people and to help people and experience life. And it's a job where you're dealing with life and death, and you get to be with people during all sorts of extraordinary experiences, from the birth of their child to seeing their kids growing up at well child visits. That was amazing. You get a little snapshot of them every year as the kids get older. In hospital medicine, I don't get to do that anymore, but it was a great opportunity when it lasted. It's been hard to get used to the loss of anonymity. When you're going to the grocery store or walking around the neighborhood, people run into you all the time who you run into over the course of your work or over years, and so that's been an eye opener for me, and it's been great. I really enjoyed being part of the church here, and Pastor Leah starting this program on faith and healing. I think was hoping to have these discussions about healing. I think after the pandemic, it's been hard to come back and get back into those patterns of being with everyone and communing again and sharing our faith. It's a wonderful thing to be able to get back and do that. I'm running out of things to talk about. Oh, please, thank you.
Okay, I've got one for you.
Thank
I
you.
hope it's not off the track. I think you're just the person that can answer it. Doctor, often on the news, we hear of a plane that is in the air and something happens to one of the patients or the crew. Let's just say someone's got chest pain, and they will
They ask if there's any medical professionals on board.
Yes, to make it.
And I've been in
Have
those
you ever been in a
circumstances.
situation like that?
Yeah.
And is there any hesitancy for medical personnel to answer a call like that?
Well, definitely. I think first responders are much more prepared to handle a situation like that. And I'm not a first responder, and so I think of paramedics and nurses often are in a better situation if there's a need to start an IV or something like that. They have that skills set that I really don't have that much practice doing anymore. So definitely makes me nervous. But on a plane, I've noticed that. There's often very little tools at your disposal, so you don't even often have an IV to start, or if you did, there's no medications to administer, and so I've jumped in there a few times, and it's gratifying to be able to help, and just even if there's not much you can do, at least you have more. You can at least calm people down and try and be a presence for them through that.
So you would have no hesitancy in answering that call?
No, I've done it a few times, and
Okay.
in fact, there was a baby who was having a sickle cell crisis, who was crying and inconsolable, and was kind of having some cyanosis around the lips, and fortunately, for that kind of condition, just oxygen is really all you need, and so I was able to just kind of reassure the parents and help them administer oxygen to the baby, and fortunately that was all and turned out well, but
Thank you.
yeah, it's kind of scary though, because there aren't very many things that you can do, and if something, I've heard stories of people dying on planes because of that, and I definitely have a hard time dealing with death. I try and avoid dealing with death whenever I can. And being in a community hospital, we generally transfer patients who are really critical, and so that's been a way for me to avoid kind of dealing with that sometimes. But also, we often deal with end-of-life care quite a bit. Patients who are not interested in advanced therapies and decide to go to comfort care, and that's a whole different kind of experience when you're trying to help a patient and a family through the dying process, and they know they're dying. When compared to when you're trying to keep someone alive and you're afraid they're dying, that's so much more difficult. Just the stress involved of trying to save somebody who may not be able to be saved, and losing people in those kinds of situations is so much more traumatic, for everybody. And when we're all going to die at some point, and I'm off on a tangent here, but it just made me think about that. Just the process of helping someone, through the dying process and keeping them comfortable, and making sure that all their needs are met is a big load to bear. But I'd rather go through that than lose somebody who wants to live. That's so much harder. Losing someone when you're trying to save them. So we've gotten pretty good at just getting people out of the hospital before they get to that situation. That's kind of my goal, is to get them to a higher level of care, where they don't always make it there either, but it's kind of, at least we got them to the the place where they can get all the specialists that they need and all the help that they need. Yeah, it's in a small community hospital. There are lots of times when patients are just at the end of their lifespan, and they don't want those kinds of things, and so helping them and their family deal with that is gratifying, and it's it goes kind of back to where when I was in college, I was a kind of a philosophy minor too, and was very interested in questioning everything, at that point, and it's what is the meaning of life, and all those big questions that we all have, that we deal with, and when you're dying, it's everything is ending, and it's a time when you think back about what your life means, and who means a lot to you, and family, and what's going to be left after you die, and your faith, your having it all kind of come together. It's a pretty awe-inspiring kind of sacred thing that we all are going to go through, and it's a privilege in the medical field to help and to be a part of that. It's amazing to have that kind of grounding periodically in my life, to see people at the end of their life makes me think about my life, and about how I'm living it, and yeah, how precious it is, you know, and every moment. And so that's, I think, been a real surprising but gratifying part of being in the medical field, to feel like I'm connected to people's lives in that way, and it keeps me connected. You know, so it's been amazing, and yeah, it's often, you know, just by being there, even if there's not much you can do, you know, is all it takes sometimes, you know, just showing up. So it's nice, and I'm glad I'm not so specialized that I can't, you know, respond and be useful in a situation like that. You know, it's things have gotten so specialized nowadays that, you know, you've got a left ankle doctor and a right foot doctor. It's kind of crazy. And you know, and that's been you know, something that's come up, you know, in other places too. You just never know, you know, when something like that's going to happen. So thank you.
With the pandemic and the increased kind of stress on medical professionals, is there a way that the medical staff or groups of physicians help each other cope with this, and what do you do to kind of balance your life out now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of effort, you know, being put into trying to promote wellness in the medical profession. There's a wellness committee even, and I'm a member of it, and we meet quarterly, and it's kind of feels a little silly, because it's hard for people to ask for help sometimes, and I think in the medical field especially, you're kind of trained to suffer in silence and hold it all in, and often just having an opportunity to talk about your traumas is really helpful, and there's not often a formal way to do that. I think they're trying to figure it out still, and there's you know, hotlines and things like that, like everywhere else. You have an opportunity to reach out if you dare. But often, you know, that doesn't happen enough, and people, I think it's part of your training too, is that you just are trained to hold it all in, and I think there's more efforts being done now to promote that. I think in the future, I think we'll get better at it. It's a work in progress for sure, and it's a shame because you do see people just burning out, retiring early, or going into different professions. For me, you know, it's just trying to just trying to connect with people is what helps me the most, I think, and trying not to get jaded or withdraw, and trying to keep the empathy going. You know, I think, you know, that's for me what fuels me is my empathy. Trying to, you know, once you lose that in the medical field, you can't really be effective, I think, with that. Trying to put yourself in other people's shoes. And then there's just so many shoes out there, so many, you know, different, and that's amazing, you know, just the variety of world views out there is amazing. So, yeah, I appreciate the question, and I don't think there's enough being done, probably, but I think in the future that'll get better.
Do you encourage either of your children to go into the medical profession? And
you know,
what do you tell people?
Yeah, I do. I don't. It's funny because my my son is going into aerospace engineering, and then my other son is, I think, looking at being a history teacher. But my neighbor's son was thinking about going pre-med, and he's an aerospace engineer, so it's kind of interesting how we influenced each other's children. But yeah, unfortunately, none of my kids are going to go to the medical school. This is what it look like. But I would definitely encourage it. I think it's a great career, for sure. I mean, for me, I feel like it's a meaningful career, you know, and I get a lot of energy from helping people and feel like, you know, at the end of the day that, you know, what I've done that day is meaningful to me just because it's meaningful to them. I wouldn't want to, I don't think I would get the same kind of satisfaction like being a businessman or something like that. And you know, it's a service industry, and we are, you know, we are servants, and I appreciate. I like helping people, you know, and I think it's important to remember that, you know, you're there to help other people. It's not about your ego, or, you know, and I think a lot of doctors get a little full of themselves sometimes and kind of forget, you know, what they're really there for sometimes. You know, I'm sorry, I should have been more organized and collected my thoughts.
You've done great. You've done it. It's from your heart.
Appreciate you guys.
From your heart, that's the main thing. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I could ramble, but I didn't organize myself, my thoughts very well. But I appreciate everybody coming. And,
I appreciate you.